Hello, thank you for watching my channel today. My name is Sarah and my channel is called Your True Self, and I am just spontaneously filming because I have an urge to do some unhauling, and I figured that actually filming that would probably be a nice video for this week. So I am very tempted to go to Waterstones today and have a little browse, but my shelves are still getting, I have turned a lot of books outward facing like this, but my shelves are still getting pretty full, and I'm going to do it by going on my Storygraph TBR and ranking the books from earliest bought to latest bought, and I'm going to go through my earliest ones. So they've been on my TBR, probably some of them for 5 to 10 years, and I'm going to try reading a little bit, and I'm going to be, I'm going to try and be very brutal and do some culling. So I think the first book on my list is, let me just go and grab it. This one. This is The House of God by Samuel Shem. This is a book which is written in the 90s, I think, or the 80s, and it's a sort of a satire about being a doctor in hospital in America, and it's called a cult classic. I got this because one of the ITU consultants recommended it to me, and haven't ever read it. I'm sure it'll be really funny, and I think I will like it, but let's have a little try and see what I think. So I read the first chapter and one bit made me laugh. But then I kind of got bored and I started flicking through ahead, and I'm sure there will be funny bits. It was written in 1978. It's really old-fashioned in terms of how it talks about women and people of other races, and I don't think I can enjoy it because of those things, and that's really going to put me off the book. And also, I know all those funny stories from times gone by and stuff like that, but these ones kind of seem a little bit harsh and offensive, and the fact that I got bored reading the first chapter or two means that I'm not keeping it. Yay, one down. That's good. Right, next on my list, I believe, is Tess of the D'Urbervilles in the cloth-bound classic edition. I do definitely want to keep that, and I do want to read it, so I'm definitely keeping that. And then I think the next one was The Man Who Broke into Auschwitz, so I'm just going to grab that off my shelf. So I really like stuff set in the Second World War, but this writing style wasn't really engaging me, and I have a massive respect for anybody who is in this situation, and I don't want my comments to be in any way taken in the wrong way, but it's kind of quite diary-like. It's very like, I did this, I went here, this training was like this. It wasn't really drawing me in, the style of the writing, and I think because I've had it for such a long time and haven't read it yet, then that one is also going to go on my donate pile. It's only fair someone else gets to enjoy these stories if I'm not going to read them. And we now have a donation area at work as well, which is really nice, so I can take these books to work and donate them there. So next we have 2 books by the same author. We have The Horse Whisperer and The Leap, both by Nicholas Evans. The Horse Whisperer I've seen the film, which I really enjoyed, and The Leap is about defending some wolves in the Rocky Mountains from people who want to have them destroyed. And then the next one after those two is this one. So this is The Guilty One by Ballantyne. This is like a crime one, I think, but a psychological thriller, I think. But and my mum gave this to me to read after she'd read it and really enjoyed it. But the reason I haven't read it is because I remember she told me so much about it that I feel like I know kind of what's going to happen. Like, she told me a couple of things that happened really near the end, and I thought at the time, well, it doesn't matter because I'll forget, but I think because I've tried to forget, I can still remember, and that's putting me off. So let's try a little bit of each one and see what I think. So I'll try a little bit of The Horse Whisperer first. So better news this time, not for my TBR, but for the books. So I read the first bit of The Horse Whisperer and it was really good. It was written in 1995. It kind of feels like childhood memories, just reading stuff like about people travelling in their car and listening to cassette tapes and stuff. And I just really liked the writing style. I found like it was engaging, it was easy to read. And so this one is staying and I really liked it. And the same for The Loop, actually. So I read the first bit of this in the Try a Chapter challenge, so I kind of just skimmed over this because I read it the first chapter previously, and I did really feel the same about that one, which was from 1998. And then this one, I just had to stop myself reading it. So I started reading the first chapter and then I was like, oh, I don't want to stop now. So even though Mum told me some stuff, maybe it wasn't like that crucial, I don't know, but I do actually want to read this because yeah, it really kind of drew me in just on the first introduction. So that's those three. The next ones on my list were firstly On the Road by Jack Kerouac. Love the cover of this one. Obviously this is a classic. Oops. The writing is really small. I love the film of this. The reason I got it in the first place was because Joey Potter was reading it in Dawson's Creek and discussing it in university, and so I wanted to read it, and I haven't. So I know it's obviously like a classic of the Beat generation, and I think this is I don't know if this is kind of a style which is easy to read, so I'll be interested to see how this one feels. Then there is Disobedience by Naomi Alderman. I really enjoyed the film of this, and I got this after I saw her at the UEA Book Festival, and this is set in a traditional Jewish community about a girl called Ronit who has been to America, living in America, and then has to come back for her dad's funeral, and she is lesbian, and she had a relationship with one of the family, not incestuous, like was it her cousin's wife or something like that? Trying to remember. Or her childhood girlfriend, which I think was married to her cousin or something like that now. And how she kind of tries to fit back into the community but doesn't really. So I did want to read this, but then I read The Power by Naomi Alderman last year and DNF'd it, and I really didn't like it. So that's kind of put me off this one. And then the last one is Longbourn by Joe Baker, which is supposed to be very good. This is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice through the servant's eyes. And this was in Richard and Judy's book club in 2014. So I've had it for ages. So I'm excited to try all three of these because they're ones that I would always kind of flick over when I'm looking through my shelves. So I'm interested to try them and see if they stay or if they go. First, I just started reading On the Road, and it's not for me. It's very tiny writing, it's very dense writing, and whilst I sort of found it interesting to start with, when I sort of flicked through and found that the whole book is very, I don't know, it's just very similar all the way through, and I know that if I put it back on my shelf, so it will carry on sitting there probably for another 10 years. So whilst it pains me because it's such a pretty book, I'm going to get rid of that one. I'm also getting rid of Disobedience by Naomi Alderman. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. I just wasn't drawn in by the first chapter, and also the bits that are told from another perspective. We've got this really strange font. You probably can't, I don't know if you can see that, but that's going to annoy me as well. And I like the film, so I know the plot, but just wasn't drawing me in. So that's another one gone. The third one I did really like, and that was Longbourn by Jo Baker. I only had to read about 3 pages to know that this was a good one. I was straight away in the place and in the time period and in the nature surrounding the house and the hard work of the servants all really quickly, and I was really drawn in. I enjoyed just even that little bit of what happened, and you could just picture it. So I'm keeping Longbourn. So we're doing quite well so far. We're keeping 4. I'm getting rid of 4. That's good. Good odds. Let's keep going. I don't think this video is too long yet, so let's keep going for a little bit longer. So the next 3 I have, one very well-known and popular book is The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett, which is a huge, great chunker about the building of a cathedral in the 1100s in Civil War in England. And it's supposed to be amazing. Like, so many people rave about this book, so I'm really looking forward to trying the first few pages of that one. This book I bought, Stoner by John Williams. John Williams, yeah. This got a real resurgence in popularity a few years ago, which is why I bought it. And I love campus novels, and this is a campus novel about a teacher called William Stoner and his life, and so I'm again really looking forward to that one. And then the final one is one I got lent by someone I used to work with. This is The Murderer's Daughters excuse me, by Randy Susan Meyers, and she is about 2 little girls who I think their mum tells them not to let their dad in the house, and he comes in and he's killed the mum, stabbed the littlest sister and tried to kill himself. And so the girls then get sent to a children's home. Yeah. So it must be good if someone lent it to me. But again, I feel like these books have been here for such a long time. Looking through the list of books, some of them have been there for so long that I kind of almost just glance over them. So I'm glad that I'm getting rid of some more. So let's just see how I got on with these 3. Let's start with The Pillars of the Earth, if I can hold it up for that long. Right. Okay, so I have finished trying these 3, and I've got 3 more to do after that, and then I think we'll call it a day, just because it's quite a lot of reading of early pages, and also I don't want it to be too long. So I first had a try of The Pillars of the Earth, and I enjoyed it. It was hard, obviously, because it's such a massive book. Just to read the first 3 or 4 pages is obviously not a really fair trial, but it was talking about a guy who's a stonemason, and his wife is pregnant, and he is really, really wanting to build a cathedral, and sort of travelling around the country doing different building projects, saving money, and he's trying to work out if there's a baby on the way, how is he going to carry on travelling around, I think, like that. So that was enjoyable. I'm going to keep that. Then I tried The Murderer's Daughters by Randy Susan Meyers. So this one It's told from one of the children's point of view, and it was very much indicative of like the time and the place and the heat and everything like that. And I found it very engaging, and I really enjoyed it. And I also really was getting into Stoner. So it tells you about the beginning, like how old Stoner was when he died, and that he didn't have a huge career and was remembered by lots of people, but it wanted to tell us about his life. And he's from a sort of a poor farming background in difficult terrain, and he has a lot of chores and things that he has to do around the farm. And when he leaves school, his dad says, look, why don't you go and study agriculture at the university, because I never had that opportunity, and I want you to have a life which is easier than mine. So he's just gone off to the university to start, and I found that one enjoyable and engaging as well. So then the final three that I'm going to try, I don't have high hopes that I'm going to unhaul any of these. It seems a bit pathetic if I've only unhauled 4 so far, doesn't it? But anyhow, I've got The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, which I'm embarrassed to say I have never read. Probably the only person on BookTube who's never read it. I have N.W. by Zadie Smith. I have lots of Zadie Smith books. I've never read any of them. I very much want to. This is about 4 people who live in a council estate in London, and what happens with their lives when they leave their council estate and move on in life. Obviously set in northwest London. And the last one is The Seven Sisters by Margaret Drabble. So this is a signed copy that I met her at UEA Literary Festival, and this is about a lady called Candida Wilson who has really been ignored by her husband and her children, and her husband then replaces her with another woman. So she decides to go and start again in a new life in Daisy, just go out the camera please, darling. In London, I think. Yeah. And so she inherits a little bit of money, and she decides to get 6 of her closest friends together, and they have a long dream journey around Tunis, Naples and Pompeii, where her grey city life can blossom into one of colour and adventure. They all sound really good. So I hope, even if I don't unhaul any of those, at least it will prompt me to read them. So let's do the last challenge, and then we will bring this video to a close. Right, so the last 3, The Handmaid's Tale. I am going to have an extremely unpopular opinion here, but I just didn't ever really want to read this, and I still don't after I've read the first few pages, and I'm really sorry, because I know this is a very popular book, but I don't really like dystopian. I don't really like stuff that's too dark. I don't really like stuff that's this grim, I guess. So I'm going to unhaul it. Don't shoot me. N.W. Zadie Smith. So this opens with a girl who's in her flat, and somebody is hammering on the door, and when she opens it, it's a girl, a woman who she doesn't know, who says that her mum has been taken to hospital. She thinks she's had a heart attack and she can't get there because she hasn't got a car, and sort of brings all this drama into this woman's flat. And I found it interesting, engaging, and I wanted to carry on reading, so that one's going to stay. And then the last one, The Seven Sisters by Margaret Drabble. So it opens with our protagonist, who is just she's talking about her health club that she goes to, and just about the things that she's observed there, and how she feels like she's a bit out of place, and she feels a bit like people are talking about technology that she doesn't really know how to use, or where you'd buy it and stuff like that. And it's the thing that I quite liked was how it's got these little indents. So in these, can you see, like there's just a little box, and that box says she encourages herself to continue despite misgivings. Or like another box says she prefaces the stories of Janet and of Julia, with more tales of the street and club. So it's almost like, you know, in a play where there's a line where it says like where they are or what's happening. It's almost kind of like that interspersed in the paragraphs, which is quite cool. I think this will be like a slow read, but with a really good writing and a kind of introspective look at this character. So that one's staying as well. So I've currently got rid of 5, which isn't great, but it's not bad. Faye and I are going to do a little bit more spring cleaning of the books afterwards, but I'm not going to film that because it takes too long. And I don't want this video to become 2 hours. So they're the ones I've unhauled so far. It's just so nice to unhaul because so excited about so many books that I have that are newer. Like I've said before, my taste has changed. I know how my taste has changed now. And the ones that have been there for ages, I don't even really see them when I'm looking at my bookshelf. So despite unhauling 100 books or so earlier or at the end of last year, I'm still going. So yes, let me know if you've unhauled. Let me know your techniques and tips and tricks for unhauling. And tell me something you've unhauled recently if you'd like to. And I hope that you have a lovely week, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.